Welcome, guys. And as you can see, you might see some differences in my environment in general because I actually changed the awareness. So there's no more computer pumping or running with fans. I just shut down the fans. I bought some lighting, a camera, and a mic. So my content in a visual perspective and quality perspective is more cute, more performed for you guys. Hopefully you enjoy like more now to watch me and don't like skip immediately. What the fuck is this guy doing there? Hopefully everything is set up correctly and you enjoy this right now better. And yeah, that's about it. It's still, I'm still working on making better content on quality, in terms of quality and in terms of how do I set up myself properly. But it's not just the visual perspective, it's also about the way I'm speaking, the way I'm saying things, of course, because I just wanted to talk about my first experience with YouTube, making content in general, speaking in front of a camera. As you know, in my introduction video, if you have seen it, if not, just check it out. I have stated out that for me, like, speaking in front of a camera, speaking in front of a wall, or no matter what, is not that difficult for me because I'm actually an introvert who speaks a lot with himself, but nevertheless is still complicated to, for example, to not say the filling words like or so or and all the time, or let's say all the time, because I live in Luxembourg. I was born in Luxembourg. I can speak 5 languages. English is not my main language. It's not my native language. It's not a language that I can speak like fluently. So I'm saying the but I'm coming right up to that point. How I will try in the future to fix that. But a part of that, that from all the problems that are involved right at the beginning, making content, it is right there, it is right now that is happening, struggling with the setups, struggling what to say, struggling what to bring out as content to give, or let's say to produce people's interest, and so on and so forth. And for those who are starting with YouTube, it is in fact really difficult. And yeah, so speaking about in general the filling words, there's some guidance how to fix that. Also for you guys who are trying to be better at communication in general, it is a good thing to practice that because it is in fact really helpful. And that's the point, you can, instead of saying, the all the time when you finish a sentence or you just want to continue to do a sentence, you can try to inhale the word because when you inhale it, you cannot actually speak it out. So what happens is that, for example, you are saying a phrase, you are stating something out, like, so from this revision I came to the conclusion that and that's what happens. Da, 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 da. So I inhaled the just like this and continued straightforward with what I wanted to say. And at the beginning, it's really, really difficult because you always try to, your brain has just this reflex to come to this all the time because it's more easier for the connection of how you phrase things, because you have this habitual reflex to do that. I said again, even though I don't want to do it, but the brain is so used to it, it becomes difficult. So what you need to do is try to inhale all the time. So before you want to say the try to inhale it, or let's say in other words, try to eat it up. So hopefully this video was helpful. But before I close this up, I want also to have a quick talk about how it feels just to be here and to speak with you guys. It is, at the beginning, I guess it is a weird feeling because you also don't see progress, and because of it feels so uncomfortable to do those things, because at the beginning especially everything feels very uncomfortable. You are not used to it. When you were in high school or in college, you had those presentations to do sometimes in front of the class, and you had always this kind of thinking, oh, I'm going to speak in front of the class, but what if I'm doing like a mistake, or in terms of how I'm going to speak, or information wise I'm going to state out something completely wrong, and so on and so forth. I'm going to be so nervous, and all this pressure that you have in front of the class is like, you have to imagine that speaking in front of the class in high school or whatever was just for a moment. You were just there for a moment, for 10 minutes or 20 minutes max, speaking in front of the class, and that was it. And you got your grade, and most of the time you passed. Unless you had a really bad presentation, but I think most of the time you passed. And why am I referring to this? I'm referring to this because being a YouTuber, being an influencer, you are connecting all the time with your viewers. You are all the time making presentations for somebody, for your people out there, for social media. So I have a lot of respect in general for YouTubers, for content creators, because it takes pressure to do those things. It takes pressure to make content. And watching someone doing things is really easy because you're just watching, and you can type in the comment section below that he did this wrong or that wrong, and he speaks so weird at this point, and blah 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 blah. But now I understand, of course, also how much work those content creators sometimes they put into, and seeing now that perspective, of course. So watching other YouTubers now and seeing their perspective of how they are doing things and how can I learn too, is much more deeply connected now. This is something also that if you are experiencing yourself the things that the other did, you're going to have a completely different perspective on on his or her view, let's say. So for that matter, I just want to close this video up and wishing you guys all the best. May the fire be with you. The fire is always with me, as you can see. And hopefully you have a great day. Have a nice one.